The rain drummed steadily against the windshield as Leonardo DiCaprio adjusted his bow tie one final time. The charity gala was set to begin in an hour, and traffic in downtown San Francisco had come to a near standstill. He glanced at his watch, a vintage 1955 Rolex Submariner that had belonged to his grandfather, and sighed. Being late wasn't an option tonight. He was scheduled to give the keynote speech at the Children's Hospital Foundation fundraiser. "Sorry about the traffic, sir," came a voice from the front seat. Leonardo looked up to see his Uber driver, a man in his 40s with kind eyes reflected in the rearview mirror. "I'm David, by the way. David Hernandez. I'll get you there as fast as I can." "No worries, David. These things happen." Leonardo settled back into his seat, pulling out his phone to review his speech notes one more time. The words felt familiar under his breath as he practiced. "Tonight, we gather not just as donors, but as guardians of hope." As they inched forward in traffic, David cleared his throat nervously. "I hope you don't mind me saying, sir, but I recognize you. You're Leonardo DiCaprio, right? The tech entrepreneur? I saw you on the news last month when your company donated those computers to the schools." Leonardo smiled modestly. "Please, just call me Leonardo." "And yes, that was us. Education is important, it opens doors that money alone can't." "That's exactly what I tell my daughter," David said, his voice growing warmer. "Sophia, she's 8 years old, and she's the smartest kid I know. Always asking questions, always wanting to learn more. She wants to be a doctor when she grows up." "That's wonderful. The world needs more doctors, especially ones who care." Leonardo noticed how David's voice changed when he spoke about his daughter. There was pride there, but also something else. Worry, perhaps? They sat in comfortable silence for a few minutes, watching the brake lights ahead of them stretch endlessly into the night. Then David spoke again, his voice quieter this time. "Actually, she might need a doctor herself pretty soon." He paused, gripping the steering wheel tighter. "Sophia was born with a heart condition. She's needed surgery before, when she was a baby, but now, the doctors say she needs another one. A big one this time." Leonardo set down his phone, giving David his full attention. "I'm sorry to hear that. How is she doing?" She's brave. Braver than I am, that's for sure." David's voice cracked slightly. "The thing is, our insurance covers most of it, but there's still a gap. About $15,000 we need to come up with for the specialist they want to use. The best pediatric cardiac surgeon on the West Coast, they say." "15,000, Leonardo repeated softly. "I know it doesn't sound like much to someone like you, but for us." David shrugged helplessly. "I drive for Uber 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. My wife works 2 jobs. We've been saving for months, but medical bills from Sophia's previous treatments ate up most of our savings. We're at about 8,000 now." Leonardo found himself leaning forward. "What's the timeline for the surgery?" "They want to do it within the next 3 weeks. Sophia's been on the waiting list, but a spot opened up, and they say we can't wait much longer. Every day we delay increases the risks." David's voice became thick with emotion. I don't know what to do if we can't come up with the money in time. I can't lose her, Leonardo. She's everything to me and my wife." The traffic began to move slightly, and David focused on navigating through the maze of cars. Leonardo stared out the window, watching the city lights blur past. He thought about his grandfather, the man who had built the watch company from nothing, who had always told him that success meant nothing if you didn't use it to help others. "Tell me about Sophia," Leonardo said suddenly. "What's she like?" David's face lit up in the rearview mirror. "Oh man, where do I start? She's this tiny little thing, but she has the biggest personality. Always making jokes, even when she's not feeling well. Last week, when we were at the doctor's office, she told the nurse that her heart was just a little confused and needed some directions. Leonardo chuckled. She sounds special. She is. And smart? Leonardo, this kid reads at a high school level. She devours books about science and medicine. Says she wants to help other kids like her when she grows up. Sometimes I think she understands her condition better than I do. David paused. The doctors say the surgery will give her a normal life. She'll be able to run and play like other kids. Maybe even play soccer. She's always wanted to try that. What does she know about the situation? We try to keep the financial stress from her, but she's perceptive. Last night she asked me why mommy cries sometimes when she thinks Sophia is asleep. I told her mommy just loves her very much. David's voice grew quiet. But I think she knows. They were approaching the hotel where the gala was being held. Leonardo could see the red carpet, the photographers, the elegant guests making their way inside. In a few minutes, he would be in that world, a world of privilege and plenty. But right now, in this car, he was just a man listening to a father's love and fear. David, Leonardo said slowly, pull over for a moment. Sir? But we're almost there. Please. Just for a minute. David pulled into a parking space near the hotel. He turned around in his seat, confusion evident on his face. Is everything okay? Leonardo was quiet for a long moment, then began unfastening his watch. The metal felt warm under his fingers, worn smooth by decades of wear. His grandfather had given it to him on his 18th birthday, telling him it was a symbol of the time they shared together and the legacy he was passing on. Leonardo, what are you doing? David asked, alarmed. This watch, Leonardo said, holding it up to catch the light from the street lamps, belonged to my grandfather. It's worth about $25,000. David's eyes widened. Sir, I'm not a doctor, Leonardo continued, placing the watch in David's palm and closing his fingers around it. But maybe this will help Sophia get to one who can give her the future she deserves. David stared at the watch in his hands, then back at Leonardo, his mouth opening and closing without sound. I can't accept this. This is too much. It's your family's. My grandfather always told me that the true value of something isn't in what it costs, but in what it can accomplish. Leonardo smiled. He'd be proud to know his watch helped save a little girl's life. Tears began streaming down David's face. Leonardo, I don't know what to say. This is a miracle. We can get Sophia the surgery, we can. His voice broke completely. Don't say anything. Just promise me you'll keep me updated on how she's doing. And maybe, when she's feeling better, I'd love to meet this young lady who wants to help other children. Of course, yes, absolutely. David wiped his eyes, still clutching the watch. Leonardo, I don't understand why you would do this for strangers. We're not strangers anymore, Leonardo said simply. We're connected now. Sophia's recovery is going to be my success story too. David carefully placed the watch in his shirt pocket, patting it gently. I need to call Maria, my wife, she's not going to believe this. Go ahead, call her now. I can wait. David's hands shook as he dialed. Maria? Maria, you need to sit down. No, everyone's fine. Better than fine. You remember the gentleman I told you about who's fighting childhood cancer through his foundation? Well, Maria, he just gave me his watch. It's worth enough to cover Sophia's surgery completely. Yes, I'm serious. I know, I can't believe it either. Leonardo watched as David explained the situation to his wife, hearing her shocked exclamations even through the phone. When David finally hung up, both men sat in emotional silence for a moment. She wants to thank you, David finally said. She's crying so hard she can barely speak, but she wants you to know that you've just saved our daughter's life. Tell her it was my honor, Leonardo replied. And David? Take Sophia somewhere special after she recovers. Maybe to see the ocean. I hear the salt air is good for healing hearts. We will. God, we will. David looked at Leonardo with something approaching reverence. How do I ever repay this kindness? You don't repay it. You pay it forward. When Sophia becomes the doctor she dreams of being, she'll save other children. The kindness continues. Leonardo gathered his things and opened the car door. As he stepped out, David called after him. Leonardo. Your speech tonight, what are you going to say? Leonardo paused, one hand on the door frame. I think I'm going to talk about the real meaning of charity. About how sometimes the greatest gifts come not from foundations or organizations, but from one human heart reaching out to another. That's beautiful. Take care of yourself, David. And give Sophia my best. As Leonardo walked toward the hotel, he felt lighter somehow, despite no longer wearing his grandfather's watch. The photographers snapped pictures as he made his way up the red carpet, but his mind was elsewhere, with a brave little girl in a hospital bed somewhere, and the father who would now be able to give her the future she deserved. The gala was a success. Leonardo's speech about human connection and compassion received a standing ovation, though he never mentioned his encounter with David. The Children's Hospital Foundation raised over $2 million that night, money that would go toward helping other families facing medical crises. 2 weeks later, Leonardo was in his office when his assistant knocked on the door. Mr. DiCaprio? There's a package for you. No return address, but it's marked personal. Inside the package was a photograph, a young girl with bright eyes and a radiant smile, giving a thumbs up from a hospital bed. She wore a hospital gown decorated with cartoon hearts, and despite the medical equipment around her, her joy was unmistakable. On the back of the photo, in a child's careful handwriting, were the words, "Thank you for helping me get my directions. Love, Sophia." Attached was a letter from David. Leonardo. Sophia's surgery was a complete success. The doctors say her heart is stronger than it's ever been, and she should be able to live a completely normal life. She's already planning to try out for the soccer team when she gets to middle school. I wanted to return your grandfather's watch. We raised the money we needed by selling it to a collector who appreciated its history. But when I tried to buy it back to return it to you, he said something interesting. He said he'd received a call from someone claiming to be Leonardo DiCaprio, instructing him to keep the watch safe and to consider it a donation to the Children's Heart Foundation in memory of your grandfather. I don't know if that was really you, but either way, the watch is now part of an auction that will raise money for other children who need heart surgery. Sophia insists this is what her heart angel would want. Maria and I will never forget what you did for our family. Sophia asks about you every day and would love to meet you when she's feeling stronger. She says she wants to show you her plans for the children's hospital she's going to build when she grows up. You gave us more than money, Leonardo. You gave us hope when we had almost lost it completely. You reminded us that there are still good people in the world, people who care about others without expecting anything in return. Thank you for being Sophia's miracle. With eternal gratitude, David, Maria, and Sofia Hernandez. P.S. Sophia insisted I include her latest drawing. She says it's you with angel wings. I hope you don't mind. In our house, that's exactly what you are. Leonardo looked at the drawing, a stick figure in a bow tie with large wings, standing next to a smaller figure with a big smile and hearts all around her. At the bottom, in purple crayon, Sophia had written, "My hero Leonardo." He pinned the drawing to the bulletin board behind his desk, right next to his company's mission statement. Every morning when he arrived at work, it would be the first thing he saw, a reminder that success isn't measured in dollars or recognition, but in the lives we touch and the hope we spread. 3 months later, Leonardo received another letter. This time it came with a small newspaper clipping from the San Francisco Chronicle, local father's act of kindness goes viral after billionaire's generous heart gesture. The article told the story of Leonardo's gift to David and Sophia, though the details had grown in the telling. According to the reporter, Leonardo had given David not just his watch, but also promised to fund Sophia's entire medical education when she was older. The story had been shared millions of times on social media, inspiring countless others to perform acts of kindness. Leonardo laughed as he read it. The facts weren't quite right, but the spirit of the story was true. More importantly, the article mentioned that the response to Sophia's story had led to over $500,000 in donations to the Children's Heart Foundation. At the bottom of the clipping, David had written, "I never meant for this to become public, but I'm glad it did. Sophia is thriving, by the way. She starts soccer camp next week and still talks about becoming a doctor. She said she wants to meet her heart angel soon. Would you be available for lunch sometime? Our treat, though I promise not to make you any offers you can't refuse." Leonardo smiled and reached for his phone. It was time to meet the remarkable young lady who had, unknowingly, reminded him of the most important lesson his grandfather had ever taught him, that the best investments we make are in each other. When he called David's number, a young voice answered cheerfully, "Hernandez residence, Sophia speaking." "Hello Sophia," Leonardo said, grinning. "This is your heart angel. I hear you've been asking to meet me." Leonardo. Oh my gosh. Daddy. It's Leonardo," he heard her yell, followed by the sound of running feet. "Leonardo, I have so much to tell you. I started soccer and I can run the whole field without getting tired. And I'm reading about pediatric cardiology and..." "Sophia, breathe," Leonardo laughed. "We'll have plenty of time to talk about everything when we meet. How about that lunch your dad mentioned?" "Yes. Can we go somewhere with really good ice cream? Daddy says you deserve the best ice cream in the world." "I think that can be arranged," Leonardo said, feeling his heart grow warm. "After all, what's the point of having a good heart if you don't use it?" "That's exactly what I always say," Sophia exclaimed, and Leonardo could hear the smile in her voice. "I can't wait to meet you, Leonardo. I have so many plans to show you." As Leonardo hung up the phone, he realized that while he had given David a watch worth $25,000, he had received something far more valuable in return, the reminder that true wealth comes from the connections we make and the lives we touch. His grandfather's watch may have found a new purpose, but its most important function, keeping time with a generous heart, lived on in the legacy of compassion it had helped create. And in a few weeks, when Leonardo sat across from a bright-eyed 8-year-old girl eating ice cream and explaining her detailed plans for revolutionizing pediatric medicine, he would know that this was exactly the kind of time his grandfather would have wanted that watch to measure, moments of pure human connection, hope, and joy. The story of Leonardo's gift had touched millions, but for Leonardo himself, the greatest gift was the ongoing friendship with the Hernandez family and watching Sophia grow into the remarkable young woman she was destined to become. Sometimes the most profound miracles come in the form of simple human kindness, rippling outward in ways we never expect, reminding us all that in a world that can sometimes feel cold and distant, there is still room for warmth, compassion, and hope. And every time Leonardo looked at Sophia's drawing on his office wall, he was reminded that the most important timepiece anyone can wear is a heart that beats in rhythm with the needs of others, a lesson that was worth far more than any watch, no matter how precious its history or value. Years later, when Sophia would graduate from medical school and begin her residency in pediatric cardiology, she would carry with her not just the knowledge she had gained, but the memory of a stranger who had shown her family that kindness exists in the world in the most unexpected forms. And when she saved her first young patient's life, she would think of Leonardo and understand, finally, the true meaning of paying it forward. The watch had served its purpose, not by marking time, but by making the most of it when it mattered most. Thank you for watching. I hope you all enjoy this video and learned a lesson. I would be grateful for your likes. Also don't forget to subscribe and comment on the video. See you soon.